Hello, everybody, and welcome to my monthly forecast. I'm Natha Perkins. I'll start off by talking a little bit about the full moon in the sign of Cancer. It takes place on January 6th. Anytime that we're looking at the Capricorn Cancer axis, we are looking at our deep emotions, the way that we feel about things, and the ways that those emotions impact our actions. And in the case of the sun in Capricorn, we're looking at having to develop some boundaries and some structures. So possibly it's being more structured with the way that you allow your emotions to come in and change the way that you do things. If you are a part of my Hidden Wisdom Astrology circle, you hear me talk a lot about how emotions are useful, but they aren't always helpful. And you might get to play around with some of how that works for you in your life during this full moon. When we have two planets in opposition, in this case, the sun and the moon, we're looking at something being out of balance. So it is possible that you might feel emotionally out of balance, really destabilized by the way that things make you feel. Feelings are not always accurate. Your feelings can be easily manipulated, whether it's through highly emotional words, or the retelling of stories, or even having a heated discussion with somebody. Your feelings change very quickly and easily, and they aren't always accurate. So do be watching for whether you're out of balance in the realm of your feelings and your moods and your emotions. If you're getting too worked up about things, or you might be out of balance in the realm of the Capricorn sun. The sun is about our sense of self and who we are. This particular moon on January 6th is conjunct Mercury in retrograde. If you're too structured and too boundaried and too rigid, and you're not feeling, and you're only concerned with being successful, doing it the way that you think it should be done, that can also be a sense of imbalance. Chiron is playing a part in this moon as well. Chiron being about the wound. Obviously, your wounds can very much dictate your imbalance, whether you are propelled to work, or you're just feeling and allowing your emotions to really carry you away into a land that is not particularly based in reality. Do be aware of how some of your childhood conditioning or traumatic things that have happened to you in the past, how that is coming in and really helping to cause the imbalance. And then your job, your goal is to bring things back into balance, where you are using your emotions intelligently and wisely, and you are also understanding that there are certain boundaries and structures needed for you to be able to move forward and achieve the things that you want in your life. Let's talk a little bit about that Mercury retrograde while we're on the subject. Mercury is in retrograde in the sign of Capricorn and will be stationing direct on January 18th. Mercury is about thoughts and perception and the things that you know, or the things that you want to know more about. And Capricorn is a sign that doesn't suffer fools. So if your thoughts are out of alignment, or they're frazzled, or you're all over the place, Mercury in the sign of Capricorn retrograde, you're going to get the opportunity to clean it up a little bit. These retrogrades always bring us situations that help magnify exactly what's going on. So don't believe everything that you hear. Be discerning, do your own research. Don't allow your thoughts to take you away. In the same way that emotions can carry you away, your thoughts can take you way out of line. Thoughts are also very easy to manipulate. So do be mindful of how easy your mind is to implant different ideas or get really carried away by a certain conversation, because Mercury in Capricorn reminds you that there is great benefit in being very systematic and dependable and structured in the way that you think, in the way that you allow information to come into your mind and into your field, and what you do with that information. We have Mars stationing direct this month as well. Mars has been retrograde since late October. So retrogrades just say you have to go back and redo your work. There are things that you don't know yet. Gemini, knowing, perceiving. By the way, Mercury in retrograde is the ruler now of this Mars in retrograde. And so there's a lot of this going back energy, being very discerning, looking at where you're facing roadblocks, looking at the things that aren't working, at the things that aren't moving fast enough with the eye, with some consciousness about why, what's happening, what information am I ignoring, what new information needs to arrive. If you are a client of mine and you've had a reading over the past few months, you've heard me say, you don't have enough information yet. Don't rush into decisions and rush into action while Mars is in retrograde. And Mars in Gemini says, do not act without thinking first, but still be aware of what you're thinking. Be aware of who you're talking to and your perception. This is a Gemini thing. Your perception is incredibly important. And it's very easy for your perception to shift and change. You might be having the worst day ever, and then something amazing happens, and your perception is totally switched into a fresh one. So remember, with all of this energy, not everything is immediately as it seems. Your emotions and your thoughts are very valuable, but they're not always trustworthy. But that's where this beautiful Capricorn energy can come in and help remind you that you can take your time, that you need to look to the past to see what has happened. Capricorn is about wisdom and the wisdom of time. If you're in my Hidden Wisdom Astrology circle, you've heard me talk about this. Capricorn is the wisest of the earth signs because it is about time. The longer you spend doing something, the better you get at it. The more mistakes you make, the better you get at it. So finally, we have a new moon in Aquarius. This is on January 21st. This new moon is at 1 degree of Aquarius. The last new moon in December in Capricorn was at 1 degree Capricorn. So this is a degree to watch, especially if you have anything at the 1 degree mark in your chart. If you do, there's some messaging that's coming through pretty strongly here for you. New moon in Aquarius brings in a bunch of Aquarius energy. And by this point, we will have 4 placements in Aquarius, including Saturn and Venus. Venus and Saturn are conjunct during this new moon. Aquarius energy is different from Capricorn, but it is very similar. Saturn is the ruler of both Capricorn and Aquarius. And Saturn reminds us that the more structured you can be, the more that you can show up from a place of integrity and honor, the more successful you're going to eventually become. But part of that integrity and honor is the realization that you will have to face yourself. You will have to face your past mistakes. So as Pluto nears its final degrees in the sign of Capricorn, and we have this new moon in Aquarius where Saturn and Venus are conjunct, look to some of the mistakes that you might have made with kindness and compassion. Look to how you can improve moving forward. That's part of the Aquarius mission, is how can we make this better? How can we take what we already know and improve upon it? And you can set some goals for yourself. New moons are great for planting seeds and being intentional. The time to act blindly, just kind of move about your life as if everything is just brand new and you have no responsibility. It's really important right now in the collective, in your spiritual growth, and in the astrology to be bringing as much consciousness as possible into what you do. Things aren't really random. Things don't just happen. They build upon each other. If you were at my solstice workshop, you heard me talking about cycles and how everything moves in cycles. Cycles have clear beginnings, middles, and endings. And that is a comfort because we know that even when things are very hard, that they won't necessarily last forever. But we also understand every new cycle, we have the opportunity to employ what we've already learned and bring it into what we're trying to complete in this new cycle. And if you are ignoring that, or you're somehow operating from a place of thinking like it just is what it is, then you're really missing out on the key to using this astrological map or this information about how the world works. If you would like to know more about the work that I do, you can visit electraastrology.com. If you do not follow me on Instagram, I dive in a little bit deeper to some of these aspects on Instagram. And I hope this was helpful. Have a great month.